Good afternoon. We had a tragic incident on campus this morning where a vehicle ran into a group of pedestrians, people gathered on the street corner, resulting in several injuries. The driver then got out and used a weapon to cut several people who were then transported to local hospitals. I'm here today with two people who were primarily involved in the response. That's our chief of police and our director of public safety, and also our chief medical officer. Let me say first that I want to give our thoughts and prayers and hopes and wishes for speedy recovery to all those who were injured. We prepare for situations like this, but always hope never to have one. And so we're going to be able to go and visit the people who were injured a little bit later on this afternoon. But I just want to tell them all and their families how much we are looking forward to their full and complete recovery. Second, I want to commend our OSU police and the other police agencies who responded. You'll find within minutes the situation became something that was very unfortunate from being very much worse. Let me now, for specific details, give you to our Director of Public Safety, Monica Mall. Monica.
Hi. We'll have more details for you later.
Can I pick up, please?
Yes, we are at West 19th Avenue, west of College, on the North Academic Campus in front of Watts Hall. Around 9:52 a.m., the Emergency Dispatch Center got a report that a vehicle had struck pedestrians. At 9:53, an OSU PD officer called out on the radio that shots were fired. He engaged a suspect who had gotten out of the vehicle after hitting pedestrians. The suspect cut multiple individuals. The officer engaged the suspect and shot and killed the suspect. The first Buckeye alert went out at 9:55 to alert the campus community that there was an emergency. Many officers from various different jurisdictions all over the county and outside the county responded immediately. By 11 a.m., the shelter-in-place notification was lifted, and the law enforcement personnel in the area continue to investigate multiple other things. There are a few buildings that are still closed. We don't have any reports of anything else. We believe the threat was ended when the officer engaged the suspect. Very fortunate that an OSU PD officer was there and took quick action, and we believe that injuries were minimized as a result of that. We'll continue probably to have an active crime scene throughout the rest of the day, and we'll have more updates for you later on those things. As I said, we do have a few buildings that are still shut down just as a precaution as we go through and sweep those. But we do believe that the threat ended right when the officer engaged the suspect.
Did the suspect fire any shots?
We'd like to have Andy Thomas also come in and give information on the condition of the people who were injured, and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Andrew Thomas. I'm Chief Medical Officer for the Medical Center. We received a number of wounded individuals here at Ohio State. We also received word from our colleagues at Grant and at Riverside that they had received wounded individuals. We actually have great collaboration and coordination between the systems when it comes to events like this. We train for these events. Here at Ohio State, we received 5 wounded individuals from the scene, 2 with stab wounds and 2 with wounds related to being hit by the car. And we've just received a 5th victim who was actually hiding in place as they had been directed to do by the Buckeye Alert, who actually just arrived here at the Medical Center not that long ago, and her injuries are still being assessed. There were 2 individuals with lacerations that were taken to Grant Hospital downtown. I'm told by my colleagues there that both of those individuals are doing well, with not with life-threatening injuries. As well, 2 motor vehicle accident victims that were taken to Riverside. And I'm told similarly those 2 individuals are doing well, but I don't have any more information on those folks.
Was one of the people injured? Was the officer injured?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Not
Was he
that I'm
brought
aware
here
of.
to the
The
medical
officer
No.
not injured?
No, the officer's not in.
What were they standing with?
I'll let the chief or
Chief, this is our police chief.
comment on that.
Let me just start from the top, and maybe it will answer some of your questions. About 9:52 a.m., a male suspect drove a vehicle over the curb, West 19th, west of College Avenue, struck pedestrians. He exited the vehicle and used a butcher knife to start cutting pedestrians. Our officers was on scene in less than a minute, and he ended the situation in less than a minute. He engaged the suspect, and he eliminated the threat. The suspect is DOA. The investigation is ongoing. I want to thank all officers for doing a great job. They did what they were trained to do. We have a lot of agencies here that are assisting us: Columbus Police, Columbus Fire. There were 9 people transported to the hospitals, 8 in stable condition, 1 in critical condition. We have a lot of other agencies assisting us here: the State Patrol, Franklin County Sheriff's Office, FBI, ATF. We are making sure that we do everything we can to investigate this very thoroughly and not leave any hole unturned.
Did the suspect have any other weapons?
It's an ongoing investigation. We've recovered a butcher knife. The suspect is DOA.
Is he an OC student?
That we will be able to provide you additional information when we have another press conference later. The investigation is still ongoing.
Chief, was this a planned thing? Did this seem to be planned, and any indication this could be a terror attack?
It's too early to say. The only thing that you can say, based upon common knowledge, that this was done on purpose, to go over the curb and strike pedestrians, and then get out and start striking them with a knife. That was on purpose.
Did the suspect say anything to the police officers?
Ongoing investigation.
Are there other suspects?
As far as we know, there was one suspect, and that suspect is DOA. There were rumors of a second suspect, and we searched the Lane Avenue garage, and we could not find another suspect. We believe that there was one suspect, and we have that suspect.
Was there a fire alarm pulled before this, and that's why some of the students were out on the sidewalk?
Earlier today, there was a gas leak at a building, and so Columbus Fire was on scene checking that, and it was a valve.
Which building?
That was, I believe, Watt Hall, the one at West 19th and College.
So do we think that has any role in this at all?
Still under investigation.
What can you say about the injuries?
Maybe Andy would speak a little bit more about
Sure.
that.
There were multiple injuries related to lacerations or cuts, most likely, as the chief said, from the stab wounds from the butcher knife. Then there were a number of people that had orthopedic and other soft tissue injuries related to being hit by the car initially. It's our understanding from the other hospitals, and it's our knowledge here, that none of the individuals appear to have life-threatening injuries at this time.
Will they have to have surgery?
One had, actually two. If they had surgery, yeah, 2 have completed surgery at this point here, mainly for orthopedic issues.
Are they students, faculty, staff?
We're going to release more information with the university at a later time.
Talk about how you called for staff to come to the hospital. Talk about that. We saw them arriving to sleeves rolled up, ready to go.
So we have a process that's actually university-wide. When the Buckeye Alert goes out, we jump into action. The active shooter protocol is something that went out across campus, but also we internally have what's called a code yellow or disaster drill. We immediately made phone calls to key individuals, both the emergency department, our surgeons, our nurses, our respiratory therapists, and people just descend. We train for this. We work with the other hospitals in the city and the Central Ohio Trauma System to train for exactly these types of events. But I can't tell you how proud I am to work here at the university and to see my colleagues come together in a moment that all of us would really hate to ever have happen on any campus, much less our own. But it was great to see the response, and I'm glad people were not any further injured than they were.
Dr. Drake, back to the mics. If you could talk a little bit about, the mood on campus now, and you've just come back from Thanksgiving break. This has got to be a tough time. We could see it on the faces of students here.
Yes, this is obviously a tragic situation and something that, as Andy was saying earlier, we prepare for every year. Our students, our faculty, our staff are all trained because we've seen things like this happen around the country, and the best that we could do is to be prepared and then respond appropriately. I didn't want to say that we were so grateful that our police were there on the scene, able to neutralize the situation, that the injuries were not more severe than they were, and that, as you understand, people have been to the hospital already, treated and released in some cases, operated on but out of the operating room already in other cases. So we're pleased that those injuries aren't any more serious. I'll be able to go and visit those who were injured a little bit later on this afternoon.
What do you hope to say to them?
What I say to patients, regardless of circumstances, that we're here for them, and we want to do everything we can to help them have a full and complete recovery as quickly as possible, and just let them know that we care about them as people as well as patients.
How do you assure students, parents, that when campus reopens, they'll be safe when they come back?
You know, we all do what we can to be as safe as we possibly can, and we all have the normal safety protocols in place, and we all live with the fear that things like this can happen to us. And so, but by being diligent and focusing, we believe we can be as safe as possible. And again, with our safety personnel and officers here to respond and help protect us, we're pleased that this was no more serious than it could be.
Talk about next steps.
What do you plan to do about classes? Did you cancel classes?
We canceled classes today. This was quite disruptive this morning, and we wanted, even though the situation appeared to be neutralized relatively rapidly, or very rapidly, we wanted to give the police a chance to begin their investigation, and so we held people in place until we felt that the campus was entirely safe and secure. Pleased that was the case. But now we've disrupted the schedule for half a day. It's emotionally draining and quite frightening, and so we wanted to say that this is a good day to take to step back from classes, sort of get our footing, and then open again tomorrow.
Sir, can somebody speak to the nature of the alert that went out that said run, fight, hide, or something to that effect? Is that a normal alert? Or
Yeah, so we have a protocol that we rehearse for what one should do if one engages an active shooter. And what we heard at first, what I heard at first, was that there were shots fired on campus, and therefore the active shooter protocol was going to be put in place, which is to do as much as possible to protect people, which is to not engage, to find some place to be safe, and to hide in place while the professionals arrive to neutralize the situation. So the first thing, our first order of business then was to make the campus safe and secure, and that happened, as you heard, within minutes. And then we investigate, and when we have information that lets people know that it's safe to resume normal or most normal activities, we allow that to go, that information to be shared. And we do that through text messaging, and it spreads rapidly throughout the campus.
Can you repeat your name? I'm sorry.
Yes, it's Michael Drake.
Run, Hide, Fight is an ongoing training program. Run, Hide, Fight is an ongoing training program, and so when you see that referenced in an alert message, that rings a bell with members of the campus community that have been through the training.
Talk about, there was a student hiding, so something must be getting through as the medical professionals talk to that. There was a girl hiding inside.
The public safety team has done a lot of training across the community, and again, that's why they use those keywords in an alert to remind folks of what their options are for any violent intruder, whether it be someone with a gun or a knife like today. Those same principles apply. So those are kind of keywords that we use to remind people of their training.
And Mayor
Mayor
Ginther's,
Ginther?
yeah, he was completely good to say a
What
word.
words did you have to say for the community?
Well, obviously, this is a city made up of great neighborhoods, and we're in one of our greatest neighborhoods. And so we're here to show our support and solidarity with President Drake and the entire university community. Lift up in our thoughts and prayers the victims of this senseless tragedy. And grateful for our first responders that were on the scene and helped to ensure that the situation did not escalate dramatically. I'm here with Chief Jacobs and Chief O'Connor. I want to send a clear message to the university and to the entire community that the City of Columbus will devote whatever resources are necessary and work closely with President Drake and his team to make sure that everyone feels safe in this neighborhood and throughout our great city. And grateful again for Dr. Thomas and Dr. Retchen and the amazing folks here and at the other hospitals that are treating some of the victims here today. But I want everyone in Columbus to continue to lift up in our thoughts and prayers of the victims and their families.
Dr. Drake, talk to us about, what will you say to the parents of students here? I have 2 college-age students, so I know how difficult it is
Yes.
being away from them. Talk to the parents and the families of what they can expect and what you're doing to keep their students safe, and also talk to their emotional and social needs.
Well, as again, repeat what the mayor said, we're pleased that no one was injured more seriously than they were. And, we all know we live in an open society where these kinds of tragedies happen someplace, it seems, on a far too frequent a basis. So what we do on the campus is everything we can to make the campus safe. We have multiple trainings in place and things to make this campus as safe as it can be. And we're pleased with how well those work, and we're pleased with how people have responded to this tragedy today. And we'll continue to work with your students, our faculty and staff to make this the safest place that we can make it, and that's our work on a daily basis. And I'll say that the cooperation that we have with the city, with the police, with fire, with all, makes our job that much easier. But we live in an unstable world, unfortunately, and so we have to continue to do our best to protect ourselves against these circumstances.
Chief Jacobs, could you talk about the tools and the methods used to try to assist OSU police in finding out a motive?
Certainly, there's every aspect of this investigation will be mulled over. We've got our federal partners, state partners, and local to try to identify any potential motive behind this attack. Obviously, with the purposeful intent that was noticed driving on the sidewalk, we're going to look at it from the potential that it was planned with regard to multiple injuries. And we will continue to work with all of those agencies to try to determine what was being talked about, whether it was on a device, online, whatever else. We'll continue to look at that.
Can you tell us whether any of what you've seen so far looks like it could potentially be a terrorist act?
Well, I think that we have to consider that it is that possibility. We had an attack earlier this year with a man with a knife causing multiple injuries. So we're always aware that that's the potential, and we're going to continue to look at that. That's why our federal partners are here and helping.
Can you talk about the shooting rumor, the active shooting, the initial reports, a shooter and not someone?
Well, with the amount of people that were here on campus, it was very chaotic. And I'm very proud of the students and the faculty and the staff at OSU to do exactly what they needed to do, and that was to get someplace safe. We know that people did not try to be a part of that scene. They tried to get away from it, which is the right thing to do. So I'm very, very pleased with the reaction of everybody. We should not ever take for granted that the best thing to do is to protect yourself. So I do believe that the response was appropriate, and we couldn't have asked for more.
There's no indication of
There's no indication of a firearm being used by that particular suspect at this point in time, but we haven't searched the vehicle yet. That's to be done, so we don't know what we'll find inside the vehicle.
Any indication of multiple suspects at all?
No indication for sure. Reports of that are being checked out, but we have a lot of witnesses to interview with regard to the aggravated assault that the suspect did, and we'll continue to find out whether or not there were anybody else involved.
Will you and campus police step up more police presence here on campus and throughout the city?
That'll be up to OSU PD to decide about campus. We don't have any information that tells us that there's, a conspiracy going on.
And we understand there were at least 2 people taken out of the parking garage in handcuffs. Can you address who they were? Were they just bystanders, suspects?
Well, we believe that people, fled the scene and might have gone to their vehicles, and therefore they might have hunkered down when they realized that the police were going to search that building. It was pretty obvious that we were going to do a search, and until we know what their motives are, their intentions are, we're going to treat them as potential suspects.
Are they still being considered potential suspects?
Not that I know of.
What more can you tell us about the one suspect who's deceased now? I mean, was he a student? Was it male, female, age?
Don't have enough information yet to release that.
Can I ask a question to just clarify the number of folks who were injured? Someone was hiding and had later come to the hospital. So does that mean there's 10 injured in total? Or is that person included in the 9?
It's included in the 9.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes. Who's lead investigator right now? Is it Columbus Police or is it OSU?
Columbus Police is investigating the aggravated assault caused by the suspect and the officer-involved shooting. Very, very, as Chief Stone said, I think you might have heard the pride in his voice that we're very fortunate that the officer was on scene so quickly and was able to deal with the situation so fast.
Would like to tell students to please contact their loved ones, and the same with faculty and staff. They know they're safe, but their family members are probably seeing this on national media and do not know they're safe. So that would really help us out if they reach out and contact their loved ones, let them know that they're okay. That would be a great assistance to us.
Have you been able to reach the victims' families to let them know what happened?
I believe most of the victims have probably had a chance to do so. Would you say so?
I can't guarantee that all have, but most of the victims were awake and talking when they were here, and I would expect they had some contact.
Can any of you speak as to when the roads around campus, specifically 315, will see normal traffic flow?
Oh, we opened that up a while ago.
Is it back open?
Yeah.
What about here on campus?
The only thing that I think we're holding now is College and Woodruff and 19th down to, that way, I believe Lane Avenue should be open soon if it's not already.
Take one more question.
Chief Stone, this might be for you. Did the officer warn the suspect that they were about to shoot? Was there any warning? Do you know?
As far as I know, he engaged the suspect and commands were not followed, and the officer did what he had to do to stop the